In this video, we're going to make a particle system that plays when the character jumps. In the previous video, we made a particle system that shows an atmospheric particle. That's what's floating around this world right now. I'm going to remove it from my world. I'm going to go back to here. You can see I have that first one. I'm going to make a new particle system. So I'm going to go to Niagara System. This time I'm actually going to use a system from selected emitters, just a different way to get going with your emitters. I'm going to hit next. I have a variety of different ones I could start with right here. What's pretty cool about these is you could actually like mix and match them. You could do like a burst with a fountain. So I could like add this and kind of work through a combination of them. For me, I want to do kind of this poof of a jump below my character. So what I am going to do is this omnidirectional burst right here, because I like how this looks for a jump effect. So I'm going to hit plus and then finish. I'm going to call this NS jump, my Niagara system for my jump. I'm going to open it up. And what you can see happening right here is there's this little burst happening in the middle. And eventually I'm going to want that to play when my character jumps. Now I can go about this in two different ways. I could either adjust my Niagara and then put on my character, or I could put on my character and have that being kind of tried out as I'm adjusting it. We're going to kind of do a mix of both for these. So I'm going to start at the top, work my way down. I have my emitter state right here. It starts to just loop once, which is useful for a jump. You want it to be able to happen that it jumps, it plays it, and it doesn't play again. It would look ridiculous if it was you hit the jump key and it was an infinite loop of these particles spawning below you. If you are flying, that might be an effective way of doing it. But for our jump, we want it to be a one and done situation. For my instances, this works the same way as the previous step. I can set how many of these happen when they burst. So I'll play around 500 right now. It kind of looks like a firework is happening. You know, back to here actually, the loop duration, I could lower this so it kind of happens a little bit quicker with my burst. I don't want my jump to last for a full second, so I'm going to kind of lower that right there. All right, back to my initialized particles. This is another way that I could kind of play around with how long this jump is going to last. I want it to go from, we'll go from like 0.5 to 1, because I think that's a much kind of cleaner range for a nice little jump poof happening below me. I could play around again with these colors. Maybe I'm going to make my jump be this like kind of pink over here. I don't really need it to be bright in any way. I don't know what I want to do at scale. I would probably flip this. I'm going to go from like 2 to 4, so kind of make it a little bit smaller. Definitely look like a firework, but we'll play around with that in a minute. Shape, location, and velocity. We're going to come back to these after we add it to our character. So now that I have this kind of like general idea of what a jump can look like, I'm going to go to my character's blueprint. So I'm going to go to my content drawer, and I'm going to go to content, third person, blueprints, third person character. You can see that path right there. There's a couple different ways you can do this. You could add a particle system to an animation as like a state within it, or what we can do is simply add that particle to the event that's triggering the action. So in this example, it would be the jump. So what I want to do is within here, I am going to find my jump input, which is right here. And what I am going to do is type in spawn system at location. So I want to say, hey, when I jump, I want to make this system. My system's called NS jump, so I'll go to this drop down. I'll have NS jump right there. And then I'm going to, for my location, get actor location and tether it to that location spot right there. I don't want it to spawn at 0, 0, 0. That'd be away from the character. I want it to spawn at the location of where the character is. Go back to here, go back, and I'll hit play. Now when I jump, I have this kind of plume coming from my character. Now, first thing, I don't like how it looks like a jetpack taking off a little bit. I don't actually hate it. But I generally like my jumps to occur lower on my character. So I'm going to go back to my blueprint. And I'm actually going to break that link, split this struct, split this struct. I don't want my X and Y to change. but I want my z to be offset lower than my character, so I'm going to subtract in the z direction, and I'm going to start with like 50. I'm going to see what that gives me. I'll hit play. It's a little better. I think I could go a little bit lower, so I'm going to go like 70. Looks like I could go even a little bit lower. You know you've gone too low when your particle is spawning below the ground. That's still pretty good. I'm okay with that. Now, I don't love how that system looks, so I'm going to go back to my system over here. And I'm going to start to play around with some of these other options I have within here. You know, location's a good one. I don't know if I love sphere. I'm going to try that torus shape where it's more of like a rounded shape around my character. Now when I jump, kind of makes this kind of like impact circle around them. This could be cool for like a landing particle as well. I definitely like that shape more than some of the other ones. So I'm going to go back to my torus, and I'm going to start to actually shrink my radius a little bit. So I'm going to go down to like around 75. We'll try. And again, I made an adjustment. I'm going to test it. I like that there's a little bit smaller of a ring there for my jump. Now I'm going to then, I'm pretty okay with all these things. Scale, I could make it a little bit smaller if I wanted to. I'm actually okay with how this is looking so far. You know, I could play around with the scale over here if I wanted to. Maybe I'll go like 1 to 2 over here. I think I like that. A little bit subtle is a little bit better over here. Perfect. You know, you could always go the other end to this, and I can make this like a huge jump. You know, that's not bad either, but I'm going to stick with my smaller size. So I'm going to go to 1 to 2. Shape we already did. Velocity. Velocity is pretty good for this one because with this velocity, I may not want my particles to move out so fast. So I might keep it at a lower value to like 50 and change it to like 150. And what this is going to change is how these actually kind of move away from your character. Now, after testing this, I don't know if I really like that. I think I may like them kind of kicking off the character a little bit more. So I'm going to switch it up. I'll go 200 to 500. We'll see what we get over here. I'll hit play. Kind of kicking away from the character. I could even go more extreme. Right here. Now they kind of fly everywhere. So I'm not sure if I love that. I'll take it down to a more reasonable value. Go to like 600 and be happy with that. More to check out right here. Gravity is a useful one. Currently, my particles are being pulled down at a force of negative 980. If I make this 0, what will happen are my particles will just float when I jump. So there's no gravity on my particles. That's kind of cool. If I make this value a positive value, it's actually going to pull them upwards. So you can see how they kind of fly up with me. I don't actually dislike that either. That kind of looks cool for a jump to me. I might leave it like that. And again, all these values are just for you to try out. I'm not going to go through. We got gravity force again we could play around with from before. You know, all these are things that you can play around with to get the desired effect. But regardless, what I have in my project now is this character that when they jump, these particles fly off of them, giving a little bit of feedback to the player and adding a little bit more style, a little bit more juice to my project.